Hello, everyone. Let me take my volume on here. Okay. Well, today is Monday, the 5th of August. This year is flying. It's just flying. I can't believe we're on. Well, school started today in the Atlanta area for most of the counties. And I just can't believe we're just moving so fast towards the end of the year. I sent out some information letting you guys know that I was going to be talking about the Agenda 2025 that everybody's been talking about. I had been hearing about it just here and there, and how people were panicking about it and hadn't paid attention to it. And then I said, you know what? One of the people that I talk to often was saying some things about it and what others were talking about. I said, let me see if I can look into this Agenda 2025. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is and, who the authors are. And then today and maybe a few more days this week, I'm going to go into some of the areas that this agenda covers. So we'll get started. So, Project 2025 is a document created by the Heritage Foundation. Now, the Heritage Foundation is a super conservative organization. They've been around for a while, and they try to affect policy on the conservative side. So not only the Heritage Foundation, but a lot of other conservative organizations got together and created this 900 plus page document. So suffice it to say that I wasn't sitting there reading 900 pages. I wanted to pull from the areas that will affect us the most. So it lists a lot of different things that they want to do within the first 100 days of the next Republican president's being in office. So obviously they want Donald Trump to win the election, and it's basically a mandate for, when that next person that's a Republican gets into office, this is what we want you to do. That's what it is. Now, let me stop for a second and say, when there's an election, everybody except for Black folks have an agenda. Every other group comes and they want to meet with the candidates on all levels, all the way up to the presidency, and they have an agenda. You can look this up for yourself, but we're the ones that are dependent on to get a certain vote, and they get people to get up on stage and twerk and all that stuff and say, go get the vote and stuff like that. It's just, anyway, that's a rabbit trail. It's one of my many rabbit trails. But these folks have an agenda, and a lot of people are talking about it from a lot of different aspects, but I want to hit it from the financial aspect. See, right now we need to be paying attention to our finances. There's a lot going on in this world right now. There's rumors of conflicts and all these other things going on. I'm kind of learning certain words that they don't like me to say, so maybe I shouldn't worry about my numbers. But my numbers are always low because there's one or two things I always say in my streams that make them angry. So anyway, there's a lot going on, and I want those of you that want to make sure that you're going to be okay to pay attention to the finances. It's bad that the Olympics had what they had and did what they did. That's terrible stuff, but that's kind of like the way it is right now. And unless you're geared towards spending a lot of time doing something about those kind of things, then we need to be concentrating on the finances. So what they're trying to do with this document is gut the bureaucracy of the federal government. They want to bring some of the power back to the states. Now, the Constitution basically says that the states have powers. And if you look at it, the states are supposed to have more power than they really have right now. So the 10th Amendment says the powers that are not delegated to the United States Constitution by the United States Constitution to the federal government or are not prohibited by the states are to be given to the states and to the people. So to recap that, if the power is not in the Constitution for the federal government to do, the states are supposed to be doing it and the people are supposed to be doing it. Now, if you go back and look at the original Constitution and the things that the federal government was supposed to do, they're doing so much more than that. I mean, tons more than what they're supposed to be doing. And states' rights seems like it's somewhere off in the corner. However, this document, when you really look at it, I read all of the beginning of it, like the preamble and the all of that stuff. It's not really gutting the bureaucracy. It's just changing the bureaucracy to what they want. It's going to be something that will appease them and give the states a little bit more power. But it's what these people want. Who are these people? There are a lot of these people that were, well, I'll get to that. So the people that have been really screaming about this thing, they're like the left. They've denounced this document as outrageous, insulting, draconian, and a whole bunch of other words that I can't talk about on here. That's what they've called it. And even Donald Trump himself has kind of tried to distance himself away from it and calling some of the stuff ridiculous. So he's not even claiming it. Although a lot of the people that authored this document are either in his, they know him directly or indirectly. You know, a great number of them are directly associated with him or either indirectly associated with him. But he's claiming that I don't know anything about it. Anyway, let me stop here and say one thing. This is not going to be a political commentary. I might put my 2 cents in every once in a while and get on my soapbox, but this is not going to be a political commentary. It's not going to lean one way or the other. Although I am a conservative Christian, I know and I see what's really going on, and the so-called Christians and the non-Christians alike are doing stuff that they're not supposed to be doing. So I see over the last 70 decades, I don't see a lot of positive stuff happening for the poor and the middle class people, regardless of who's in office. It's my contention that the person that they sit in that office is not running the country, whether it be a Biden or a Bush. They're not the ones really running the country. If you really want to know who's running the country, you're gonna have to come to the Escape the Rat Race challenge that I'm having in what is it, August 21st, 2nd, and 3rd. I'm going to tell you who's really running the country and the source that I got it from, because I was blown away myself to learn, who's really running the country. Anyway, that's another story. So the presidents aren't running the country. Other people are running the country. This book, this Agenda 25 thing, is kind of like trying to seize the power and make it something for the people that are in power, that are the conservative people. Let me see what I have down here. I have some notes. They want to seize executive power. And although this country was not formed on a democracy, now let me get on another rabbit trail. You all know a lot of people say this democracy and this democracy, this country is supposed to be a republic. Back when they signed the Constitution, some reporter or somebody asked Ben Franklin, what kind of government did you guys settle on? And he said, a republic, if you can keep it. We haven't been able to keep it. And it's no longer that. It's some mixture of goo, whatever that is. You remember now the and to the republic for which it stands? People don't even know that. There's some videos that I saw a long time ago where they were asking people what kind of government we have. And they would say, oh, this is a democracy. This is everybody was saying that. Maybe they cut out the people that were saying it's a republic. But when they were telling people, no, it's not a democracy, they were getting indignant about it. It's like, what are you talking about? This is a democracy. And then they brought up, and to the republic for which it stands. And they were really embarrassed. But we need to know a little bit about what we're supposed to be And that will teach you how far we've gotten off track. And then make sure that you know that you have a lot of work to do. Now, your homework, one of your homework assignments for today is to look up the difference between a republic and a democracy. This is not a republic. This is not a democracy. It's a mishmash of whatever. What I call it is we have the can system. And certain rich and powerful people have decided that they're going to get all they can all they get, and sit on the can. And those of us that aren't in that powerful situation, we're just gonna have to fend for ourselves. That's what's happening. So we got to figure it out for ourselves. It looks like they plan to do everything they want to do and forget about the rest of the population. And definitely that's not what we want. So seems like they want to change the law for them. They want to change the laws for them. And I got a lot of stuff that I say about how they do the laws. This has been going on for decades, though. This is not something that's new. The Heritage Foundation has been putting out these papers, and other organizations, whether they be liberal or they be conservative, have been putting out these briefs about what they want for a long time. And if they can't change the law, a lot of times they'll try to bring in a new law through lobbying, or trying to get in good with some of the senators and some of these secret backroom doors. I'm going to give you an example of one of these laws that just is very strange. And when I finish saying it, I want you to put a one in the chat if you think it's strange. So this law is affectionately called the Augusta Rule, and some of you may know about it. But there's a big golf tournament in Augusta, Georgia. It's the Masters, and it's every year. And around that area of that big old wealthy golf course, they have mansions. So the people that own these mansions, they want to rent these mansions to all of the golf teams that come in. So if there's a golf team that comes in from Japan, Australia, it comes in from New Zealand, it comes in from Scotland or wherever, the whole team would rent a mansion and stay in the mansion. So they got a lot of these mansions. They didn't want to pay tax on the money that they were making during that period of time. So they don't rent out their mansions under normal circumstances. They just wanted to, catch some money during this Masters. So somebody petitioned the Congress, and they came up with the Augusta Rule. And the Augusta Rule says that you can rent out your house for 14 days or less in a year, and you don't have to pay any tax on it. Put a 1 in the chat if you knew that already. I looked up how much money they were getting for renting those mansions during the Masters. And I'll tell you, they get $10,000 to $14,000 a day. So let's say, for the sake of argument, if there's 14 days that they rent it for $10,000 a day, that's $140,000 that they don't have to pay tax on. Now, the thing about these laws when they come in is that you can do that too. You can do that. For example, during the 1996 Olympics, the 96 Olympics were in Atlanta. And I'm one of those go-getters. I'm one of those sharks, boy. And I was like, okay, there's going to be a whole lot of people coming in here. So I talked to a real estate agent, and we got together and did a brochure and asked a whole bunch of people, did they want to rent out their home or part of their home? Because we were hearing that the influx of people is going to be too much for all the hotels that were close. Make a long story short, not only did I get a person that lived in California 90210 to rent out a condo downtown where John Lennon lived and got money from that, I actually rented out my home during the time of the Olympics to a reporter from Copenhagen, Denmark. And the money that I made paid for one of my daughter's private school for that coming up year. So we can use these laws too. It's just a matter of, them being like, anyway. So with all that said, the coverage of this Agenda 2025 that I want to do is going to be different from the other people. It's been hyper exaggerated. You got some people out there saying, oh, this is going to take us back to Jim Crow, and this is going to destroy the country. It's not all that. Part of the reason is because some of this stuff is so ridiculous it would never pass in the first place. It just wouldn't. So don't worry about that. The most outrageous stuff is going to never pass. We wouldn't vote on it, and the Congress critters wouldn't vote on it because they know they wouldn't get back in office the next year. So let me take just a quick minute and go to the chat before I start talking specifically about the area that I selected. I love your videos on taxes. Thank you for teaching about the IRS. I'm kind of getting away from that, just more so helping people start businesses. I want you to gain income. I do want you to reduce your taxes, but I want everybody to start making money because it's time for that. I turned off my TV in 2019. So when I found your videos and you were already calling the income, it's the electronic income reducer and the electronic intellect reducer. Yeah, exactly. So thank you. I try to do excellent work. Hello, everyone out here. Glad to hear someone say presidents don't run the country, and the poor and the middle class always get they always get the short end of the deal. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and I know them now, so I know how to get over them. That's one of them is we just don't pay attention. The things that are in front of us that tell us the truth, we're looking at something else. I don't know what series there are on television, but those series, the ones that come on maybe once a week, or some of them come on every day, just like the stories used to, the one night to live and the restless young and the rest, all of those things were meant to keep people tied up in that stuff so they wouldn't really be able to understand and pay attention to what's really going on today. I would appreciate some likes. So if you get my likes up, that would be great. Let's see what's next. Okay, one nation under God. It's supposed to be that, but it's a lot of stuff going on right now, I'll tell you. That Olympic thing, I guess it didn't blow me away, but the audacity of what they did. And it always occurs to me that there's certain religions that they would never do that to. Anyway, let's move on to the Augusta Rule and the Master's Guide stone in the Master's Guide stones of Georgia. Oh yeah, that was an interesting thing when they blew up the Georgia Guide stones. And it's supposedly a mystery of who put them up there. My dad loves golf and had never heard about the Georgia Guide stones. Yeah, golf is entertainment. The Georgia Guide stones is serious. That's serious business. There were guide stones for you that don't know about it. Somebody put some stones in southeast Georgia, and it was like it was almost like Stonehenge. It was like an obelisk of stones, and they had the same writing but in different languages. And they basically wanted to get rid of 2/3 of the people on the earth in order for the earth to thrive. And there are people out here that think they're God. Some of them, you see them on television, but that's what happened. So somebody late in the middle of the night blew those bad boys up. I haven't heard anything about whether they tried to put them back up or the status of them, but they had been there for ages, and people used to go down and look at them like a tourist situation, but somebody blew them up. Okay, it doesn't surprise me. Yes, 1996 Olympics. That was a very interesting year. Okay, you heard about it from here. Okay, so let's go on with what we're going to do today. Is we're going to talk about one aspect of Agenda 2025, and that's the Treasury Department. So I wanted to start off with the taxing section, of course, because of the curiosity of whether they were going to try to do anything to help reduce taxes for the poor and middle class people, or implement some real change in the tax code, or get rid of the tax code, or whatever. I'm glad I didn't hold my breath, y'all, because this is a hot mess. The document does the complete opposite of what you would think somebody that was trying to reform the tax law would do. So I'm going to read a little bit and talk. So this is the Department of Treasury one. It's on page 693. It's where I started. I didn't read the other ones. I came straight here. So gives a little bit of background, and then I'm going to make commentary. The Treasury Department was established by statute in 1789. Today, it's responsible for financing the federal government, promoting economic prosperity, ensuring the financial security of the United States. Okay, cool. In fiscal year 2022, the Treasury employed approximately 96,000 full time employees, including approximately 81,000 Internal Revenue Service employees. Approximately four-fifths of the Treasury's discretionary funds are used for IRS operations. The remaining amounts are for its offices, bureaus, and international assistance programs. Okay, now tax policy. This is the next heading. And I highlighted it and I didn't know it was going to come out so dark. So I'm trying not to have to squint. Tax policy has a powerful impact on the economy. Yes, it does. The Treasury Department should develop and promote tax reform legislation that will promote prosperity. Yes, to accomplish this, tax reform should improve incentives to work, save, and invest. Okay. This, in turn, is accomplished primarily by reducing the marginal tax rates, reducing the cost of capital, and broadening the tax base to eliminate tax induced economic distortions by eliminating special interest credits, deductions, and exclusions. And it got kind of fuzzy there for me. It's like, okay, it's mixing a whole bunch of stuff. I can't say yeah to that. I can't say no to that. So let's go a little bit deeper. First, the tax system should raise revenue. It should raise the revenue necessary to fund a limited government for constitutionally appropriate activities. Yay, it should. That's what the Constitution says. We're not supposed to be having all of this, what they're doing, all these different departments and stuff. Okay, then next, the second, the tax system should minimize the adverse impact on the family and core institutions of civil society. Yes, it's so much negatively impacting the family. Then we go to the next one. Third, the tax system should be applied consistently with special privileges for none and respect taxpayer due process and privacy rights. And I said, okay, with special privileges for none. So listen to what I am saying. If you agree with me, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't agree with me, put a 2. It doesn't matter, whatever you feel. If someone has been getting special privileges for years and years and years, and then some legislation comes in to say, hey, this group of people have been getting these breaks for a long time. Let's give these people some breaks so that they can move a little bit faster. And then these people want to say, oh no, we want to get rid of all of it now. Do you think that's fair? Yes or no? There's been all of these things that these wealthy people could do for all this time. And once somebody else comes in and says, okay, the middle class people and poor people can do these things to help them go forward, then these people are coming in and say, no, shut it all down, shut it all down. Okay. No, I personally think it's wrong on so many different levels. There's so many things, and I'm not going to bring the racial thing in, but if you think about it, you know, uh, slaves couldn't do certain things. And I see an argument for and against these programs that help students and all that. Now, I don't believe in helping people if they're not doing the job. I mean, I wouldn't want a doctor to get all C's just because they were black or just because they were something else, Latino. But the ones that do the work, they should have some kind of standing somewhere. That's just my personal opinion. Let's move to the next one. The next one is intermediate tax reform. In other words, they're thinking that some of this stuff should be done immediately and some of the stuff is going to have to wait for a while. So this is the immediate stuff that they want done. And this is the stuff that really is like, really? Okay. The Treasury should work with Congress to simplify the tax code by enacting a simple two-rate individual tax system of 15% and 30% that eliminates most deductions, credits, and exclusions. So they want the everyday people to either pay 15% or 30%. They don't say where that divide is. Now, can you imagine if people that make $90,000 and above have to pay 30%? I don't know what they're going to put in there. It could be more than that, but just to have these two rates, 15% and 30%. And if you're closing in on that 30%, there's certain things that you're going to try to do to get that down, and you might not be able to do it. So that kind of, made my radar go up. Then it says, listen to this, guys. The corporate rate, the corporate income tax should be reduced to 18%. These corporations out here, how many of you know that a lot of these corporations don't even pay any tax? I've done some stories on that before about them not paying any tax. But they want the tax rate to be 15%. 18%. And they want the capital gains tax to be 15%. So here we are, the rich get richer and the poor and middle class, which don't have these corporations and they don't have these capital gains and all of this. And of course, the death tax is involved in this. So basically what it looks like to me is all of these wealthy people getting their taxes reduced. Now, there's a lot of argument about that. And, they make a lot of money and they contribute so much to the economy and all that stuff like that. But, and I am definitely not a liberal, but I believe in right and wrong. And when laws have been used to make certain people have the ability, now this is laws, this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with their own pulling themselves up by their own bootstrap and everything. This is good old boy stuff. This is Congress stuff. This is all this stuff. That person has the ability to earn more money in one day than somebody else that's working hard earns in a whole year. If they could do that on their own, that's fine. But you got to understand the laws are made to make these people continue to be in the position that they're in and keep you in the position that you're in. And what it is like we're trying to fight. We're trying to break through. When I was younger, I didn't play video games, but maybe about 5 times in my whole life, because they were a quarter back then, way back then. And you put a quarter in there and you play the game. And it's like, I'd rather just go buy a bag of potato chips. This is a mess. But there was one, some of you might remember if you're old enough, called Breakout. And you had to break through the ceiling. You had to just get through. It's like we're always trying to break through a ceiling. And then they make these laws. And like the Augusta Rule, and for them, and we don't know about this. We found out about it after a while, but they're not coming. They weren't, when they made that rule up, were they coming around telling everybody they could do that? No. It's buried in the tax code, and they know, and they spread the information. So if the laws are stacked against you, then it is discriminatory for certain laws to be catered towards these other people and not towards you. This has nothing to do with race, because it's all of us have every race and culture has wealthy people and poor people, and then those who are power hungry. So the billionaires get to keep the money after fleecing the labor of the people. And whatever you think about the labor and the $20 an hour and all of that, they can afford to pay that. They just Anyway, the next one is entrepreneurship. Okay, they got something in here about entrepreneurship, y'all. Yay, I'm thinking, okay, great. They want to, this is what it says, to encourage entrepreneurship. They want to encourage entrepreneurship. Okay, so that's where I am, because I want all y'all to have your own business. However, it says to encourage entrepreneurship, the business loss limitation should be increased to at least $50,000. Businesses should also be allowed to fully carry forward net operating losses. Extra layers of tax on the investment and capital should be eliminated or reduced. So these 3 things, if you're not getting it, would help the larger businesses pay less tax. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, if you want to encourage entrepreneurship, why aren't you talking about programs and systems that will help the small people, the people that want to start a business, the people that have jobs and want to start a side business? If you want to encourage entrepreneurship, I mean, I could put together a program, which I have. I could go to the government and say, hey, I got a program. I have a 12-week program. I have a which is 3 months. I have a 3-month program. I have a 6-month program, and I have a year program. So that's 3 months, 6 months, and a year. And I can teach people how to make money, what businesses they could get in, all of this other stuff. So give me a grant for that. And it's like, no, we want the larger businesses to make sure that they can take losses of up to $500,000. Okay. I was disappointed that they didn't have anything in there that would help people start and grow businesses. These things they have in here about entrepreneurship are for businesses that are already there and they're probably making $1 million. So forget that one. Then the next thing I have down here, yeah, if they truly wanted to help us, they would definitely have some kind of something in place. Also, no tax reduction. Okay, so all listen to this one. This is the kicker, guys. All all non-business tax deductions and exemptions that were temporarily suspended in the 2017 tax bill should be permanently repealed. In other words, take away all these people's deductions. The people who have jobs, if there are any deductions left for them, take them all away, including bicycle commuting, expense exclusion, non-military moving expense. They don't want you to move from one place to get a job another place. You used to be able to write that off. You can't write that off anymore. Miscellaneous itemized deductions. If you have to wear special boots for your job, all this stuff, they want to take that away. The individual state and local tax deduction, which was temporarily capped at $10,000, should be fully repealed. They want to get rid of it. And deductions related to education expense should be repealed. They want to get rid of it. So they don't want you to, they want you to be poor. They want you to continue to be poor. So anyway, to reduce the tax bias against wages. Now we're going on to wages. The thing about this one, it's a little bit complicated, but when you have a small business, you're able to write off when you get employees' health care and other untaxed benefits. They want to take that away. They want to lower the limits of it. So they're saying not take it all away, but they want to lower the amount that you can write off when you have employees and you care about them and you want them to thrive and you want them to be healthy. So you're getting special kinds of insurance or insurance that might be a little higher. They want to reduce the amount that you can have for that. And guess what? Not only do they want to reduce that amount, this is the next one. The limitation on the benefits deduction should not be indexed to increase with inflation. So whatever that limit is, when inflation comes and the economy is going down, inflation is going up, they don't want to increase the amount that you can write off for your employee benefits. Yeah. This is what they got, y'all. That's why some people are saying it's totally ridiculous. I just have a few more, but I'm going to stop and go to the chat. Yeah, it's wrong what they're doing. Predatory exploitation, capitalism. It's really not true capitalism. They've got this mix of things. You know what? If it was true capitalism, they wouldn't put these laws in place. Like that whole thing that happened in 2008 where the banks were too big to fail. If we had true capitalism, they would have failed. So the economy doesn't contribute back to them when we spend our hard-earned income. I guess not. I guess they don't think so, but again, when your money goes into these corporations that have made trillions, and especially during the 2020, 2021 period, there are certain people that became trillionaires, y'all, during that period of time because first of all, they knew things, and second of all, they put themselves in that position. It's interesting how my father told me this when he was younger. they moved from Tampa to Detroit. And so in Detroit, my grandfather and a whole lot of the men worked for Chrysler and GM and Ford and all that stuff in the factories. And sometimes the factories laid people off because things were slow. So if the Smith father down the street got laid off and it was pretty hard times, everybody else who was working would gather up food and take it down there and put it on the front porch for them. We didn't need all of this. We really didn't need all this. This is a horrible manipulation. I mean, some of us still do that. I still do that. If I know somebody's in need, in my church, if somebody's in need, they take up some money for them. But this whole thing about taking your money away from you via taxes, you have less to be charitable with like that. And this is basically what this whole thing is. Just let's take care of us and forget about all these other people. Let me see what's going on. So I wish I knew the world we lived in during K through 12th grade. It wasn't taught in school. Now I know we live in a predatory capitalism. No, they purposely don't teach you certain things in school. There are schools that don't even teach kids how to balance a checkbook, and you don't know how to deal with money. I know the Jewish community, they're kids that they go to Hebrew school and they learn how to deal with money better than 20 and 22-year-olds and people that have their first job deal with money. So it's all in how things. Where did you start? Were you tied to the starting line? A lot of you were tied to the starting line and you couldn't go anywhere while everybody else was going up to the 100-yard dash and beyond. And then it's our job now to untie ourselves and get it moving. So the economy doesn't. Okay, I got that one. Let me move it up. All right. Dr. Jackson, you're a true gift to society. Thank you for caring enough to share your priceless wealth and knowledge. Galen and I, thank you so much. Thank you. You got to update me on other stuff. Seems like when we become hip to their tax codes, the goalpost moves. Okay, just Reese, you got it. You got it. As soon as we get hip to it, they change it. It always moves. So when we get to and maybe the Augusta Rule hasn't changed because a lot of people don't know about it and a lot of people don't have the ability to use it. But yeah, I've seen situations where they changed the laws because too many people were getting to take advantage of some of the credits. They just dropped it. Okay, this is eliminated. Rich Dad, Poor Dad book opened my eyes. Yes, that was an excellent book. I believe that there's a fear out there of people starting their own business. And that's why I advocate going ahead and starting the business while you're still working so you won't have that fear. There are some people that got laid off that told me that was the best thing that happened to them. There are some people that just walked off the job and said, I can't do this anymore. And they had to make it happen. But you can start something on your own without all of that. It's going to take hard work, y'all. It's going to take hard work. You can't be messing around. You don't take family time away, but there's a lot of leisure time. When I talk to my clients, it's like, so you don't have time for a home-based business. What are you doing during the day? Tell me about your whole day. And it ends up in that conversation. They've got 3, 4, sometimes 5 hours where they could be doing a home-based business, but they're doing other stuff. And the stuff is not important, especially right now with the economy the way it is. Let's see. My partner's working on getting a grant for her healing business. She's really helped people. Yeah, she can try to get a grant. Now when you have a nonprofit organization, you get grants. When you're for profit, you go get contracts, like proposals to get something done. So I don't know whether she's a nonprofit or not. I used to want to go for business ownership, but learning later investment and being an investor is unfortunately where it's at to play the game. Depends on, well, you know what? Most of the people that are prolific investors have a business or had a business and sold the business, but I don't just advocate for that's a start. Having a business is where you start because you have to learn. You can't just pop up and do a business. You got to, most of the businesses that I know fail because they know what they're doing. They just don't know the accounting part. And that's the part that'll sink your business. So you got to know about money. You got to have that money sense. And then in order to have that money sense, you got to learn these things. So in a business, you learn them. Then you learn about investing. And there's different types of investing. And you all know that I always tell you I don't invest in anything that can disappear in the blink of an eye. From what I understand today, and I didn't pay much attention because I was busy with this, is the stock market went down 50. It went down in Japan further than it's been in 57 years. And it went down in the United States. I don't know how far, but I don't even deal in that because it's just like, unless you have that insider trading stuff going on and you know some things, it's hard to make money that way. It's to me, it's speculation. And I don't speculate. I want something in my hand or under my feet. And anybody who wants to do that, that's fine. The people that I know personally, I only know one person personally that he does forex trading and he does well. I only know that one person personally. Gets up at 5 in the morning and does all that. He has 2 doctorate degrees and a master's. Well, he has 2 masters and 2 doctorate degrees, and he's just a genius. So it's like I don't know that everybody else is, playing. But again, I pray that that's not you. They're social engineers, exactly. There's something that they've done to people. They change your mind from what it's supposed to be to what they want it to be if you're not careful. Nate Rand says, because in corporate America, they don't really want small businesses. Small businesses are the backbone of this country. But then when you have small businesses, you have more leverage also. You can do a lot of things that you want to do. You don't have to depend on the corporatocracy. The corporatocracy is the corporations, the government, and the banksters. You don't have to depend on them when you have your own stuff. Let's see. Will Trump do it if he wins is the question. No, he said he's not dealing with this stuff. He's not. And he can't. I mean, realistically, I don't believe that the way these people are is it's like a kabuki dance. They say they're all conservative and they're for this and that. When they get in office, they don't do the things that they said they were going to do, or they do some stuff that's really counter to what they said they were going to do. So they're at the behest of whoever gave them all the money. And there's a whole thing about some people giving that vice president some money. And so it's a hot mess. So I'm listening to it because I need to know it, but I'm trucking on along with my business so I can be ready when they do whatever it is they're going to do. And they're going to do something. Okay, what's next? Let's see. I appreciate you helping us with entrepreneurship. Yes, that's what we need to do. Start a business. You can still start a business. You can start a business right now. It's the beginning of August. You get August, September, October, November, and December. You have 5 months to do a business. You can make money, and then you can write off everything that you spent on that business and reduce your W-2 if that's what you have. So it's not too late to start a business in this year. Bless you and your time and it's fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. Many small businesses like local gyms were forced to close and pay a penalty during the pandemic, even when they placed the equipment with the required parameters. Exactly. I know personally, that's a personal family. One of my family members had a gym and had to go and do something else because they couldn't open. Nice gym, nice area, had paying clients, but couldn't keep it going because they had to shut down. I think some of us know which group the tax farmers belong to. Yeah. I know the topic is dealing more so with politics, but I will say this: Christians and people seeking God really need to spend time in the Bible from Genesis to Revelation to gain a better understanding. Yeah, this stuff is in there. It's like I said, this is the last of the last days. Yet liquor stores were permitted to remain open. Yeah, so much for people reaping what they sow. So they claim that they kept the liquor stores open to calm people down because drinking the liquor would like calm them down. That was their excuse. But one of those senators, I saw a little clip of him the other day roasting one of the people that was in charge of these mandates and asking them why Lowe's and Home Depot was open and the local stores were closed. And all of that, if you pay attention to what happened and where it is now, the stuff was arbitrary and capricious. And so the question that I have is, are we going to let that happen again? you know I don't take poison, so whatever needs to be done, it need to be done. Let's see. My fear about my business is finding people to buy my product. Well, the way you worded that, find people to buy my product, I would flip it around and say, go out and figure out what people want and supply that. So, for example, if I was an archaeologist and I went to school and I got a PhD in archaeology, and I'm running around trying to find uh, people that are going to buy my book on archaeology, that's not the way it works. I need to go out and find out what people want. People don't want to hear about archaeology. I'm not going to write a book on archaeology. Sociology and all them ologies, it's hard to make money in those fields now. You go out and find out what people want. Find out the pulse of your neighborhood, your nation, your city. Figure out what they need and what they want, and you supply that. I'm lucky I'm working for people I like right now. That's excellent. I've talked to some people and they've had good jobs, and somebody quit or retire, and then some atrocious person gets in there and then your cheese moves. Remember we talked about who moved my cheese? Agreed, Dr. Jackson, on business ownership, but long term wanted to become an investor. That's exactly right. So Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant had those four quadrants. It had the employee, it had the self-employed, it had the business owner, and it had the investor. So you want to be on that other quadrant, the business owner and the investor. And at some point or another, you can sell your business and be an investor. So that's where I want to be. That's where I am. I'm a business owner and an investor. I want to continue to get real estate somewhere else. Okay, let's see. How do you feel about pocket watching JT video he did on you before I watched this video? Okay, Justin, did you see my video? Go out and look at my video called "Who's Hating on Dr. Sherry" or "Who's Hating on Sherry Jackson." I responded to that, and long story short, those were lies. And the reason why I can't file a lawsuit for slander or libel is because in a lawsuit like that, you have to find someone who's willing to come forth and say that I have to say that I was harmed by what he did. I would have to find somebody that said, Sherry, I was going to get your $25,000 package, but I looked at that guy and I decided not to. If I had somebody like that to come forward, then I could sue him because they were proven lies. So if somebody goes in and they can tell me which video it was, I know it says "Who's Hating on," but I forgot whether it says "Who's Hating on Sherry" or "Who's Hating on Dr. Sherry" or "Who's Hating on Sherry Jackson." But yeah, those were lies. And you know what I did? Not only did I put up when I talked about it, I put the documentation up there, but I showed all the people in his um comment section that was railing on him for saying that stuff about me. So, but again, there's a scripture, it's Galatians 6:7. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatever man sow, that shall he also reap. So I'm not worried about it. Let's see. A friend goes with his golf buddies every year. Yeah. I mean, I believe it's beautiful there, and people who like golf. I mean, I looked at golf for a little while, just kind of watched it back in my early days before I got serious about business. And, it could be a nice pastime, but unless you're making money at it, it's a pastime. What about acquisitions of businesses? Yes, those are good things to do if it's a good business, if it already has a good staff in place, or if you have a staff that can replace the ones that are making the business fail. Okay, I don't understand that one. Oh yeah, kabuki theater. That's what it is. They act like they're against each other, but they're in the background going to parties together and slapping backs and all that other stuff. The Democrats and the Republicans are sleeping in the same bed. And, anyway, it's one thing to make money, but the issue is keeping and protecting it. That's why my system is called the KPG: keep, protect, and grow. So I have a system that I teach people how to keep what you earn, protect what you earn, and grow what you earn. CBDC and crypto, if they crash fiat currency, Trump has his own agenda, which is true. He is for his organization and becoming wealthier. All of them are. All of them are. I don't know if I did mention this earlier, but I don't vote because I believe changing the players without changing the game is an act in futility. Exactly right. Thank you for your time. Let's see. Product market fit. Yes. Work on that. Work on seeing whether or not what you are offering is something that people want. You can't force it on them. I teach a whole mindset class about how we need to change our mind towards how we approach people. I did some research on people and low self-esteem and why they buy things that they really don't need but they want, things like that. Like I mentioned before about the guy who had the $800 car and he had $4,000 worth of rims on it because he thought that was going to get the girls or whatever, that kind of thing. It's a psychology behind it. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Jackson, can you recommend anyone in licensing? I don't know what licensing. There's so many different kinds of licensing. The best advice you've shared with many people is to get a home-based business. Yes, we don't regret doing that. Thank you. Um, who's hating on Dr. Sherry Peel Jackson? That's what the video is. So birds, bees, and trees went to look it up. Who's hating on Sherry Peel Jackson? That's where I kind of, and I didn't know about that video until almost a year after he had done it. And it's like, oh, really? But yeah, I kind of, I was nice about what I said. I was very professional with what I did in that video, but you don't get away with lying on me like that. One thing you don't do is you lying, on me. If some, the simple things that were true was that yes, I did go to prison, but his whole rationale behind it and what he said after that was just totally wrong. So I don't know if he's getting paid by the government to do stuff like that or not, but and I don't know what he does that to other people too. It's like he's trying to get likes or trying to get more money. Maybe he's making his money by doing this salaciousness of doing that. Anyway, there's a few more things in the Department of Treasury part of this Agenda 2025. Tax administration, they said they're going to change. It says the Internal Revenue Service is a poorly managed, utterly unresponsive, and increasingly politicized agency and has been for the last 2 decades. Amen. Yes, it is. Management. The IRS has approximately 81,000 employees. We said that before. Of those, only two are presidential appointees. So the IRS's employees have only two presidential employees. I mean, I'm sorry, two presidential appointments. Now, what they're saying here is kind of weird. They're saying at the very least, Congress should ensure that all these 6 or 7 people are presidential appointees. So what they want to do is they want to appoint a whole bunch of other people inside the IRS. So making sure more White House appointees are placed inside the US. How is that going to help me? How is that going to help you? I don't know. But that's what they want to do. And it's neither here nor there, but I questioned why they would want more appointees in there. I'm against bureaucracy. I think that, like when you have a board of directors, you can have an odd number of board of directors. Well, I like three, no more than five, because the more people you get involved in, the more. I've seen board of directors who lost whole contracts because they were back and forth, and the contractor was, asking 11,000 questions, and the person, it was just ridiculous. So the fewer people involved, the better. And I see it says the IRS has spent approximately $27 billion on IT during the last decade, with 7 billion of that designated as development, modernization, and enhancement, and their system doesn't work. Okay, we know about those. The last one, let's see, fiscal responsibility, and it's about the Treasury Department. I mean the Federal Reserve. They don't say anything about ending the Fed. So I don't really care because they want to keep the Fed there and they don't want to end the Fed. The last one though is this is important. Let me see. The last one is about the Corporate Transparency Act. So, I did a video on that, and they're trying to bring this Corporate Transparency Act where they know everything about everybody that owns at least 25% of a corporation, which is just, get out of my business kind of thing. So it says Congress should repeal the Corporate Transparency Act, and FinCEN should withdraw its poorly written, overboard beneficial ownership reporting rule. Both are targeted at the smallest businesses. They told the truth in the US, those with 20 or fewer employees, and will do nothing material to impede criminal finance. Yeah, they told the truth on that one. It's not about catching criminals, it's about finding out what we're doing. Okay, then it says the last thing, it says the FinCEN beneficial ownership reporting rule will impose cost exceeding $1 billion annually and is exceedingly poorly drafted, which it is. FinCEN itself estimates that more than 33 million businesses will be affected at a cost of $547 million to 1.8 billion annually. In other words, making us do all this extra work and pay a CPA or pay somebody to do it or take the time off from our business to fill out that foolishness when it's really not even about that. It's not going to catch. It's not. If they wanted to catch the criminals, don't you know they could catch these criminals? They could catch them right now, but that's not what they want. So that's the part of this agenda about the Treasury Department. Now they have some other. Before I go back to the chat, before I forget, they have some other areas that I feel like will affect our finances. So put the ones in the chat that you think will affect our finances so I can go over those. So I already went over the Federal Reserve. I want to do the Department of Education. I think that's going to affect our finances. The Department of Health, which is going to affect our finances. The Department of Housing, and the Department of Injustice. So those are the ones: Department of Education, Health, Housing, and Justice. So let me know which of those you want. I'm going to try to come back on about two more times this week. It's kind of, I have a lot of stuff on my plate to make sure that I'm ready and my multiple streams of income are ready when it's time to enact my plan B. So some nights I'm just probably going to be too tired, but I will go into the community area and put that I'm going to be on that night. And I will try to go over to my email list and put that I'm going to be on. So I might not say the topic, but I'm going to be on. It's going to be one of these: Department of Education, Health, Housing, and all of this stuff that these people are trying, and know that they're not the only ones that have an agenda. Theirs just got shouted out. There are other people with other agendas also, but you need to have an agenda, and that agenda needs to be to get you a home-based business so you can write off everything with the kitchen sink, make you some money, start your multiple streams of income, and be ready for your plan B. And all of these things I'm going to talk about in the Escape the Rat Race Challenge. I forgot to put that in here. I can't spell. Let's see. Escape the rat race challenge. Escape the rat. The rat race. RACE. I think that's right. Okay, let me see if there are a few more questions. It's an act of futility. Yes, it is. That never made sense to me about going to prison over a misdemeanor. You know, Mr. GC15, it wasn't, you know what, when that lady sentenced me, she said to me, and I'm gonna do it in her voice. She said, I know you homeschool your children, Miss Jackson, and I know you got a lot of family support, but you can't run around the country telling people not to file income tax returns. That was what I was put in prison for. So they came into my house, they raided my house. They were in my house from 7:45 in the morning to 5 o'clock. They were in the backyard with metal detectors, trying to see if I had anything buried out in the backyard. They went through all my drawers. It was like somebody came in and ransacked your whole house. When they finally left, I went in my bedroom. I had pictures, y'all. They went through my intimate pictures of me giving birth. I had them put away. Because I had they just left them all over the place and stuff like that. And so they were looking for something bigger than a misdemeanor. They were looking for something bigger. They couldn't find anything bigger. And after doing that in 2004, they decided to bring me up on the misdemeanor charges, which is called an information instead of an indictment, because they were tired of me. Even though they couldn't find anything, they were tired of me. That's what happened. So it was about, and they gave me a 4-year sentence on a misdemeanor, a 4-year sentence. And you got people out there that they refuse to put in jail because they say they won't do well in jail. But again, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sowed, that shall he also reap. Crypto yo, if there is 3 parties, A, B, C, and each person saves 15,000 in gold, to A, 15K worth of silver, and B, 15 in cash, to C, between all 3 parties, does this qualify as gifting between 3 parties? It's all in how it's written up. The thing that makes gifting fail is too many people getting involved and somebody getting mad in the end and saying I didn't get my money. There are successful situations that happen, and because those people are serious about it and they're not looking for something for nothing or a gold mine to drop in their backyard. My apologies, Dr. Jackson. I was referring to licensing and trading and trade. Okay, licensing and trademarking ideas. So, business licenses you get from your county. Trademarking, you go to the patent department, the U.S. Department of Patents, and copyright your books and things, and trademark your business name and logo. That's very important because I know of people that have gotten their stuff stolen. Had some great names running around doing things in the public, and then got a cease and desist letter from one of the organizations that they spoke at saying, you got to stop using this name because we're taking it. So yeah, that's very important. Trademarking and licensing your watermarks and everything that you have. The low and middle class have to understand how to be creative. Oh, they have to understand how to be creative and start multiple businesses till one sticks. We still asking for support. Yeah, I know a guy, he had 28 businesses before he found the one that stuck, and now he's a millionaire. We can't just give up. I mean, it's like the little video that I put together about what my dad says and what I found out, it came from my granddad. Keep getting up. I get tripped up. Keep getting up. I get knocked down. I keep getting up. And people, I can't whine about it. It's life. Life's not fair. The low and middle class, okay, that's the one I just did. Support for each other's businesses is needed. Now, yeah, because I try my best to support people in the community. I don't want to go to I don't do malls anyway, but if I'm going to do a mall, it's going to be something around here, and unfortunately a lot of times you don't get the good service. So there's a trade-off. Unfortunately, a lot of people like to go up to the north end of Atlanta to go to the mall because they feel like they get better service than over here, and they have better stuff on the north side. So it's again, that's these crooked practices. So I had to go get a dress, a formal dress, and I was over here at the mall here, and I didn't find anything that was. I don't want all my boom shakalaka hanging out. I'm just not that person. So I didn't find anything that was appropriate for me. And the young lady basically pulled me to the side and said that they sent all the junk down here. You need to go up to Perimeter Mall or Cumberland Mall. She told me that, and that's sad. But again, you want to do that. We're supposed to support each other. Some groups have business directories. Um, it would be nice to have something like that for those of us who are of the same mindset and want a plan B. For all, please, Dr. Jackson, especially the Department of Health. Okay, Department of Health. Okay, all four, but the Department of Health. I'll try to get to all four, but I'll put a little mark down here next to the Department of Health to make sure that I get that one. Let's see what's next. Although we must life self-learn as people, health department, okay. Education, housing, rents, and health, okay. How are they justifying the cost of these agencies? By the way, they're where's the money coming from to give free resources to Yeah, that's a good question. So why is Chicago able to give $9,000 in rent to people who just walked across the border? This system is whacked, y'all. They are wicked to the core. They illegally imprison you. Yeah, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. Yeah, it was a nightmare, but I had to get up. I had to get up out of it and get up. My goodness, I am sorry you had to experience that. Yeah, I did. Yeah, but you know what? There's lessons in everything. When I went in there, I'm a daddy's girl. My daddy's 81 years old. My mom's 80. I'm an only child, y'all. I had a brother, but he died when I was 18. So since I've been 18, I've been an only child. So when I went in, my parents are like, they were distressed, and I was sad for them. But my dad said, make this a university. He said, do like Nelson Mandela did. And I did. I went in there and I said, I'm coming out of here better, or at least the same as I went in. And the only thing that happened is I lost a tooth, because if you want some socialized health care, it's in the prison. But other than that, I had to do it. You can't let stuff like that break you down. You just can't. I mean, my dad always told me when I was younger, if I got discouraged as a young adult, like if I was 20 and I just got distressed, just get up and move, go to Houston, or he used to say Houston or whatever. I don't know. It didn't matter. Just go somewhere else and start all over. Reset. That's what Donald Trump does when he gets in business trouble, doesn't he? Reset, leave everybody in bankrupt and everything. Anyway, it's another story. Wicked to the core, yeah. I think all four would be beneficial to hear about. Okay, so it may take me more than a week then, guys, because I got some other stuff going on. I got to prepare for the challenge. I've been putting some juicy stuff together for that, and I've got family obligations and stuff. So I might do two more this week, and then I might do two next week. So we'll work on that. Yeah, sorry you had to leave your family on bogus charges. It was wrong. Unfortunately, that woman is not suffering for wrong. Yeah, well, again, it's the positive energy. See, it's negative energy and positive energy. If I people were asking me to go back and try to sue and try to do, and I was like, I'm moving forward. I'm moving this way. I got the positive energy. I wanna live life. Just forget about all that. I can't dwell on the past. I want to be present at every breath. Beautifully said. We can't give up. Everyone, keep striving. Please post your business. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm strong. Look, I don't want to be taken as one of them strong, independent women. The one to say, I don't need no man. That's not me at all. I'm a very traditional woman. But you have to mentally you have to be in a place where you don't let things get you down, because that's when you get off track from what you're supposed to be doing. So I do get off track sometimes. I get a little bit chaotic sometimes because I'm doing a lot, but I try to stay on track. I try to keep a peaceful household. I try to keep peace because everything around us is asking us to be crazy. That thing they did at the Olympics, and see, I'm originally from Detroit, y'all. It's like I really honestly, people ask me what one thing do you try to be really careful about? I have to try to make sure that my Detroit doesn't override my Christian. That's what I have to try to do. And especially when people are doing stuff to me, like the guy that did the video and stuff like that. Anyway, glad your father is still around. Yeah, he's definitely still around. Don't forget the prepaid debit cards that are headed out to, oh, yes. Oh, they got free rent in some places. Did you know even small states like Maine are building apartments for them? There is a report, you guys. That's another homework assignment. It's called, oh gosh. Okay, so hold on. Let me see if I can see it because I think I had it on here. No, 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 no. It's called something replacement migration. That's what it's called. It's a report that was done. It's called replacement migration, and it took us a while to find it. One of my buddies out in California found it because we had a few pages of it, but he found the whole thing. And I'll try to see if somehow I can link it. But this is a whole plan for them to replace people because the birth rates are so low in certain countries where it's beyond the it's beyond the point where they can keep going on their own. But this is all by design. Everything these people do is all by design. Oh shoot, it's I'm gonna take a few minutes to finish this up and I better get off. Thank you for your courage. Yeah. My father taught me to be fearless, actually. I'll tell y'all a story. When I was younger, I used to be scared of slugs. Here, we had already moved here from Detroit, and I just hated to see slugs. They were just nasty. And I would just, freak out when I saw slugs. So one day I was going in the basement at our house, and there was a big old slug. You know how you comb your hair with a comb and then it comes out? I thought it was that. And then I looked down, it was a slug, and I freaked out. Dad made me pick that slug up. And see, that would be child abuse. These days, these kids are calling 911 in a minute. But he made me pick that slug up with my hand. I was like, you want me to do what? I had to go in the center of the basement with that slug in my hand and stay there for 45 minutes holding that slug. And he said if I dropped it, I had to start all over. So when it started inching to the side of my hand, I had to catch it with the other hand. And he went upstairs and did whatever. And he came back 45 minutes later and said, okay, you can get rid of it now. So I went over to the sliding glass door and tossed it out. And after that, was I scared of slugs anymore? That's the kind of dad I have. So y'all, that's how I grew up. But anyway, yeah, disgusting Olympics opening. Yeah, that kind of stuff. We shouldn't be tolerating that. And wherever you come from, that was just wrong. May peace be with us all. Do you know this is happening in the UK, Ireland, France? Yes, it is everywhere. So the replacement migration report has these countries' names in there. They have them. They literally. This is a plan, just like the other stuff that they did. The pandemic was a plan. What do you think about the idea of smart communities? Um, I don't know what you mean by that. If it's the 15-minute communities that's going to lock us in and tell us we can't go out of there, no. I think for me, a smart community is a whole bunch of people of like mind getting together and sharing resources and sharing ideas and making sure that this system doesn't take them down. I like that. There are no coincidences. No, there aren't. I've got a huge slug by me. I'm not scared. I don't know. You don't want to hold him. That is hilarious. Felony charges on a 4 consecutive years term is what? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought he was funny until you saw my yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't a felony. And so he didn't do any research at all when he did that. He just did it and unless Anyway, yeah, my dad is a blessing. My mom is a blessing. I'm glad they're around. I'm blessed to have my parents still here. It is 10:15 and I am going to run because I have to do some more work on day 2 of the challenge. You all, if you want to get some more in-depth information that I'm not going to be able to share on YouTube, join the challenge. And I will come back. It may not be tomorrow. I think I have a Zoom, but I'm going to try to come back 2 more days this week with more on this Agenda 2025. You all have a wonderful evening and have a great day tomorrow.